think I know we've done watch-alongs in the past before, but we're now exclusively going to offer afters with every Patreon member, and they can ask us about other podcast hosts and what we
they
what
can
really
video us.
No, they can't. They very much cannot do that. That's the one thing we agreed, Marcus. They can't video us.
Because we have another video which says, please don't send this around if this gets out.
I thought that was the point of the old afters, was to just let it all out. And anybody, it's fair game. It's off the record.
I've never seen an on the record afters actually.
No, that's
until
true.
This week.
Maybe this is the start of a trend.
Yeah.
Well, of course, on Monday afternoon, a video was leaked on X, which used to be known as Twitter, and it appeared. Jim, it appeared.
Yes.
It appeared to show Premier League referee David Coote saying very nasty and naughty things and xenophobic things about Jurgen Klopp. Everyone's seen this.
Yeah.
You've had a couple of days to let this sink in.
It's interesting that you said it appeared to show David Coote, because everyone was thinking, is that AI? It was like a VAR check. It's
there's no way
I'm not
AI.
counting this as a goal just yet, but it really looks like that was a goal.
Yeah, and in the space of an hour, he went from denying it to, no, it is genuine. I just can't remember what I said.
Yeah, that is...
Oh, don't worry, we've got the footage of it.
So much worse,
This should jog your memory.
Yeah.
It's so much worse because of that.
Yeah, or is it like leaning into it to the point of, I was so inebriated, I just don't remember. I could have said anything.
That's true. Well, the video, thought to be at least 2 years old, of course, saw Coote calling Liverpool shit. Not in a particular game, wasn't it?
I think so. I think he's referring to the Burnley game that they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, certainly it was right.
Yeah,
it was certainly right after. Because he referenced when he talks about Liverpool being shit, it's in reference to that game.
Yeah, okay. So, lots of people won't overlook that, of course. Some people go, well, yeah, okay. Then he calls Jurgen Klopp arrogant, and I'll soften the word for you. He calls him a cunny. All right?
He does.
Yeah. So I want this podcast to be a PG-13, as they would have in the States.
And he calls him cunny. That's to everyone in the UK. He calls him a cunny in kind of, as you mentioned at the start, like in a xenophobic way, which kind of in isolation of everything.
Yeah, he references his nationality.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have spoken about well, he can't referee anymore because of this, that, and the other. I mean, that's enough for me, regardless of any kind of clouding of judgment he might have due to his dislike of the club. I mean,
he said James Milner's all right, though.
Yeah, I mean, but arguably that just leans more into that James Milner is a bit meh. I feel like
come on. No, it's because he's in that photo he's holding up.
No, I know, but I felt a bit for Milner. He's like, why am I involved in this?
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
Why am I getting a mention?
Yeah.
I know, yeah. Well, then the second video was leaked, of course, where the chap next to him said that the video can't go anywhere because it would ruin his career.
And to be fair to whoever that was sent to, for a good couple of years, they were true to that bargain.
Yeah. I don't know who broke the pact, but somebody has done. But he's been obviously suspended by Pugmol, and UEFA have removed him from the list of referees for the Nations League this week.
Yeah, I mean, surely there's no coming back from that.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Because, it's not unreasonable, is it, to privately say to your partner or to your friends, you know what, Jurgen Klopp was really rude to me once. I think he's a bit arrogant. I don't really like him very much because of the way he personally made me feel. That's fair enough. But it's so naive to do it in a context like this. And now, obviously, as was always going to happen, lots of Liverpool fans and lots of non-Liverpool fans are analysing his performances, going, well, actually, this decision doesn't look right and this one doesn't look right. And it leans into conspiracy, but actually perfectly reasonably. Do you know what I mean? If you're someone at Liverpool or you're a Liverpool fan, you have it's completely reasonable to look at that and go, well, he doesn't like us. We know he doesn't like us because we've seen him say it. So, I mean, you surely, your position is untenable after that.
Might I say that in perhaps I'm the only person that's going to say this week. In David Coote's defence, so Liverpool fans have highlighted some of the decisions he's been involved with in the games that they've played, and they say, "Oh, this one was poor. This one." And as you say, Jim, that's going to happen, and it's understandable. And then one or two of the blogs that have been put out by Liverpool fan groups, they said, "But in Manchester United, who of course in the last goodness knows how many years have been a poorer side. Actually, their win percentage, I think Liverpool's is 50% when he's been involved, and Liverpool's Manchester United's has been 67%. And I don't know what the suggestions are.
I remember thinking, watching our games, being like, we're nailing it.
We're in the rub of the green.
Again, no, so to go back
on our side.
to go back to the earlier point of in defence of David Coote, he was VAR for West Ham Man United when he gave that penalty against Delete. He was basically, you go on, penalty.
I mean, this, but,
That's all I got, David.
The more variables you add to it, the more sort of galaxy-brained and nebulous it gets, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
And the thing is, though, it was the wrong decision.
yeah,
So,
sure.
Maybe he'd been to the casino before that match. I don't know. Because that's what they said. They'd been out in the casino before that video, apparently.
It's such a weird-looking evening because the guy in the video, he looks like he can't wait to share it. He's like, ooh, bloody, let's not ruin his career, eh? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But like,
And that bloke says what he says about Scousers at the end, and it's like, oh, mate, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think the entire nature of it, the fact that the only reason they're filming it is to share it, whether it's like specifically in...
It's a boast.
Yeah, whether it's specifically in, this specific WhatsApp group that was initially sent to, or just a mate, it's to show other people that this Premier League referee hates this Premier League manager and, this Premier League club. And the funny thing is, like, when you talk about what he said about, I suppose, generally his, the fact that he doesn't get on with Klopp and his thoughts about the club, I don't think there was necessarily anything surprising in what was said. We know some referees don't like some managers, and I think there's a lot of stuff out there anyway that you can find, whether it's referees doing podcasts now or autobiographies they've written. That we kind of know that anyway, and there's never a good time for stuff like this to come out as well. But at a time when the PGMOL are under such scrutiny and there is such a broad level of distrust, I mean, this is pretty catastrophic.
And it's not far on the heels of Mike Dean admitting that he didn't correct a mistake in Chelsea Spurs a couple of years ago to avoid Anthony Taylor getting, I think, what he described as grief.
Yeah.
So, there's a couple of things here where it's obviously a very, very difficult job to do. They need to be inscrutable and they need to be really, really measured and really objective and put a lot of personal grievances aside. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it is what they have signed up to do. And we keep getting examples of this, of how, it's just not really consistent. And it puts PGMOL in a really difficult situation because it's like the blows just keep raining down on them.
And there's no way of adequately, I suppose, shrugging this off because other referees are tired by this now.
Yeah, the whole association. Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it?
Which is unfair because all it takes now is a disagreement as a fourth official where anyone could posit that, it looks like they don't get on. Right, let's look through this, or let's be wary of this going forward. And obviously, fans are like that anyway. But the language used in that video is such that it kind of takes it to a new level, not like a stratospheric level, but certainly a level where you're thinking, God, the stuff he's saying about Klopp, the personal stuff he's kind of intimating there. We know where it comes from, and we can understand the motivation, but we've never really been confronted with it like this.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I think, though, I'm on the wrong side of history today. I'm going to quote Beefy Botham. I think the mistake is getting caught, and the mistake is actually...
I think that's a very fair and reasonable thing to say.
Yeah, because the mistake is someone's got their phone out, and you are... in a sort of very modern sense, you are broadcasting that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we've shared videos in our WhatsApp group and all sillies and whatnot, and I stress they are nothing like this, by the way, but everybody does it. And of course, it's not in a broadcasting sense. But a court of law will go through your phone. You have to be, if you're a referee, you are almost like a politician. You have to be immaculate. And to basically, as I say, because as we understand it, it's gone into a WhatsApp group. Hence, the other chap is saying, don't share this video. So this is going to people that presumably David Coote may or may not know that well. You are, in a sense, sharing this, not in a pub when there's just a few people around and so on. It is being recorded. And my worry is with all this, is that, as you say, Jim, there's so much scrutiny and so on. It all feeds into itself. You look at our politics for the last sort of few years. Good politicians leave because it's so much scrutiny, and a lot of people who might well have fancied it, who you think actually could do the job well, they go, do you know what? There's so much scrutiny, there's so much stuff. I think I'd be better off finding a different career. And some people who are referees may well be thinking, you know what? There's so much crap. Not because they want to say these things and so on, but you might start losing some good referees.
It doesn't look like an appealing world to join right now.
No, exactly. And that's not because I stand in solidarity with what he said.
Sure.
I don't mean it like that. But it all feeds in because of the scrutiny, because of this. And this obviously it doesn't help in any kind of way. And so where does this end?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it does. So David Coote actually here has made, as you say, Pugmill's life a hell of a lot more difficult. I know this video is a few years old, but that's my concern, is that all trust is, when people say all politicians are this, or all people from that institution are this, it's like, well, no, that's not true. Yes, you need to hold people to account, and yes, you can't have any bad apples, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But it's a big old shit sandwich.
It just obliterates any sense of his kind of objectivity and impartiality, which is an absolutely key tenet of being a referee, isn't it? Like, rightly or wrongly, whether we can't know if he bases decisions on things other than what he's seeing in front of him. But that's the whole problem, and that's what he's done here. He's made it so that we can't know. I wonder if actually the way this goes is PGMOL go, you know what? Like, some of us do have biases. We try our best to fight it. It's just human nature. You can't really do it. So from now on, every referee has to wear the kit of the team they support.
Yeah.
While they're refereeing.
Yeah.
Or we could have like an amnesty where every referee comes forward.
Who's the biggest cunny in football? They'll get a go.
Yeah.
Be like the TNT idents they do where they step to camera.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of TNT, I love this, that Peter Walton had his saying. He said, I would have described David Coote as Captain Sensible, maybe a bit highly strung at times, and not one of the lads.
So
presumably they then went back to Fletch and McManaman on commentary.
Yeah. We should get Coote in as our Peter Walton.
Yes.
David, is Arne Slot a cunny?
Well, Jim, I haven't officiated him that much, but I can safely say...
Savage champion afterwards. Oh, it's very weird. I wouldn't say. He's not. They're bigger cunnies. Much bigger cunnies.
Me, for example.
So the other thing that I found, like, just actually fascinating. I don't really know what emotion it elicits in me beyond actually just being really interested in it. Is because we're in an international break.
Yeah,
we don't have the manager press conferences ahead of a weekend or ahead of a European game where they would have been asked about this in a first hand. And I'm really curious to see how certain managers play it, because some managers will be like, what are you going to do? In terms of like that ill feeling towards referees and managers, they get it, because obviously they're going to be asked the question in a more comfortable, more relaxed setting of a press conference. I wouldn't be surprised if some managers, and I'm not just talking about Premier League, but I wouldn't be surprised if some managers like properly lean into it and be like, well, I mean, I didn't know referees felt this way about managers, and it's definitely something that needs to be looked in, because that will end up being the driver of any change. Because at the moment it's, where referees from and stuff like that, and often they get taken off games if they have previous with certain managers. Like, for example, I mean, let's say if Coote didn't do the xenophobic stuff, would his broader position as a referee be untenable? Because I suppose what he's only shown there beyond the xenophobic stuff is the personability with a certain manager. So, like, maybe he wouldn't necessarily do the Premier League. Would he do the Championship? Could he then go abroad and work in Europe? Could he keep up with?
Because the anti-Liverpool stuff comes from the other guy more.
Yes, right.
I mean, he does reinforce it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that's why it was released now? It's a good time to bury bad news.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's why. Yeah,
it'll all be forgotten about in a couple of weeks.
Oh, Nations League, what?
Yeah. Well, the Nations League is so big and important that they thought no one will care about this.
Indeed. Yeah. It'll just water off a duck's back. Some people have been saying it's time for us to get referees from abroad, but is Clement Turpin the answer? I suggest no.
That is true. Yeah, I don't know. Well, from David Coote to Gary Lineker, everybody. It was announced on Monday that Gary Lineker will step down as host of Match of the Day at the end of the season. BBC had said Lineker will host BBC's coverage of the 2026 World Cup. So he'll still be around for that when Thomas Tuchel lifts the trophy, of course. Whether he'll be managing England or not by then, I don't know. But yeah, so it's
a long time away in Tuchel years.
It is. So yeah, Gary Lineker, we won't see him on our screens on Saturday nights.
Jake Humphrey and his team are on manoeuvres right now. Right now, they've not slept in days.
Nah, Humphrey's building his own empire. I don't think he's interested in this.
I think he'd be tempted. I think he would be tempted for a bit of this particular biscuit.
The BBC will hire from within. So thank you for all your lovely messages. But I fear that it's not going to happen. I have a.
Let's try and get you in the betting market at least.
I'm going to be weirdly...
Yeah, well, the chap keeps asking he keeps asking around, and apparently I'm not even considered by them.
I'm going to be...
It's an outrage, mate. You can do both.
Yeah. I'm going to be weirdly sincere here.
Go on.
And I don't know if this is going to go anywhere.
Give it Stella.
I genuinely am surprised how we don't see you more on other sorts of things.
Really?
Yeah. So
listen up, producers.
Why not start the campaign and let's see where we get to.
Let's start him on Match of the Day. Right? See how he gets on.
Yeah, and then.
Is it a gateway presenting role?
I reckon if that was you on that couch next to Coote, I reckon we'd have got so much more out of him.
Yeah, I mean, my follow-up question was, who else do you think's coming?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have left it there.
Yeah, that was not a strong interview from
and
that
then I
fella.
wouldn't have disrespected a fine English city as well.
You would have, you would have seen Coote, just like on edge. You would have relaxed him a bit. Yeah. We would have thrown to a break. We'd have come back.
I think we should start the campaign. I mean, it's amazing what certain men can do when they get a bit of momentum.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
right.
I don't want to name names. But yeah, top jobs can be achieved by people who don't deserve them. Is what I'm saying.
They sure can. And you know what? You joke, Marcus, but you are probably now ahead of Jermaine Genus. Had this happened a few months ago, we'd have been staring at 20 years of him.
It's true.
In the Match of the Day.
Had you have told me 6 months ago I was ahead of Jermaine Genus, then I think I'd be properly in the runnings. But you never know. Right, coming up after this, Frank Lampard wants a new job.
Been to see the referee. I've told him that one of his assistants was eating a sandwich at the time. I thought that was a complete lack of respect. Hopefully he enjoyed his sandwich while he was talking to a Premier League manager.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Chris Wilder there. I did think when this David Coote stuff happened, I did think for Pugmill's sake, thank goodness Chris Wilder's still not in the Premier League.
I am gutted that Jozo's not around.
Come on.
Oh, my days.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's currently serving a ban for insulting referees, isn't he?
I was about to say, to be fair, I mean, he is talking about the system that he's tackling in Turkey. So Jim, there's still plenty to go on there. Again, his best... we enjoy most when he's dropping bombs elsewhere, from afar, but we can still see him. Okay. Yes. Now, speaking of Chris Wilder, did you see he was filmed singing with Sheffield United fans in a pub after they won the Steel City Derby at the weekend 1-0?
And also Joe Root.
Yes.
Man of the bat, Joe Root. I was delighted because this is something that you can comment on, Vish. I didn't realise he was such a big Sheffield United fan.
He is, yeah. He played for Sheffield Collegiate Cricket Club. I'm also glad as well that this is the first mention of cricket because the guy on the sofa with David Coote was a former first-class cricketer.
You don't have to unmask.
Yeah, that's gone way underreported, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's just cricket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Step aside, mate. No one cares.
The reason why that's gone unreported is because of the stuff about Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
That guy used to... Vish
referee and cricketer hang out. It's not quite the same story.
No.
Vish was ringing around the news agencies and he ended up saying, "You're still thinking about the comments about Klopp."
Like when they say some really low-level celebrities call up Gossip Max and be like, I think Les Dennis was spotted on, buying a new suit from Savile Row. And they're like, well, you can't afford that. What's he doing there?
Yeah.
But Joe Root was there, yeah.
Joe Root, former England cricket captain Joe Root.
Leading Test run scorer as well. Yeah.
Indeed,
one of the best we've ever... How long can I talk about cricket on this show? I'll do it.
I think you've come to the end of that little chat, but you've done very well to get some good, solid facts in there.
Thank you.
About the magnificent Joe Root.
You can go further. Use Pitbull as your benchmark.
Oh yes.
Hey, he's lit up my mentions as well. I'll tell you what. So if people aren't touting me for the Match of the Day gig, they're touting me to go and watch Pitbull in London soon.
You can have it all, mate. You can have it all.
Well, that's what Pitbull's taught me.
One brings two. One brings two.
They've changed the Match of the Day theme tune for this idiot. There's going to be a few changes around here. There's a new sheriff in town. Chris Wilder, I want to go back to him because there was a big old chant about the Sheffield United fans were singing about Danny Rule, the Sheffield Wednesday manager, and changing his name to Sausage Roll, and Chris Wilder was in there. So kind of disrespecting a fellow manager, which was quite enjoyable. And he was stood up on a chair singing it as well. Yeah. Mike Dean-esque, you might say.
I mean, I love a sausage roll.
Don't we all?
So it might have been a compliment.
Did he think he was making an order at the bar? He was just shouting it. Oh, if we're all getting one, I'll get one and all. And you get those. Sometimes you get those big ones at the pub, which are really good. You know,
God.
Meaty beauty. Right,
clip that.
Let's.
Please don't clip that because it could ruin his career.
Yeah, exactly. He was about to get the gig, and then this happened. Right, Jim, you look like you got an email.
I do look like I got an email for good reason.
Oh.
Christopher Rogers been in touch. He says, hello, Ramble crew. You don't seem to have a campaign song for your probably doomed bid to win at the FSA Awards.
That'd be fair.
You, Christopher.
I was about to say, I love his attitude.
Well,
he's realistic, but he's hopeful.
He continues, but don't worry, I'm here to help. All the best from sunny Ayrshire, Chris.
You're joking.
You gonna give them a night on the town. Give them your vote. The Dilfs will go home early when the Ramble wins the cup. Give them your vote. Beat Jim and Vish will drink the free bar dry. Give them your vote. Get cheap kebabs and then they'll all throw up. The wet wipes at the Guardian won't know what to say when the Ramble dominates them at the FSA. Vote cheeky boys and we all get what we need. Give them your vote. No more years of hurt, so mute the lightning seeds.
Oh, Chris Roger! Bloody hell!
The Fall meets the Beastie Boys.
He must be related to Nile Roger.
It simply must be.
That is unbelievably good.
So good.
The guitar,
that is outstanding. The only thing
we're going to win.
We are now.
The only thing I was going to ask, I didn't know it was a free bar. Is it a free bar?
I don't remember, which suggests yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
Honestly, that is stunning stuff. And if you don't get your vote in, not only are you disrespecting the Football Ramble, you're disrespecting Christopher Roger with that wonderful song. I like the fact that he refers, presumably, to Luke, Andy, and I's Dilfs.
Yeah.
And you two and Pete will drink the free bar dry, get cheap kebabs, and then all throw up on the way
there's
home.
a clear line there, isn't there?
I didn't read it that way. I genuinely, in my head, I was like, well, our industry is just made up of blokes. So when we win it, the other blokes, the older blokes, will go home.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
You know me. I like to be last man standing.
Yeah, you do, actually.
Not drinking will give you a head start on that. The wet wipes at the Guardian was an enjoyable line. Look, come on, for crying out loud, everybody!
Bring them down.
Yeah.
Remember when they brought the news of the world down?
Yeah.
Let's do this to them, but very specifically in terms of the FSA Awards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're still fuming about what they did to the news of the world. So you want to get your own back in some way.
Actually,
why do we always torpedo ourselves? We're on a good thing. And then
no. I've got Jonathan Liu's a good mate of mine.
Is he?
So I can root around for some videos of him, and I can
There you go.
Get them out.
Set up a sting operation.
Cool.
You can plug us on Match of the Day.
There we are. You see, the job's
start, evening things up.
But you can vote for us. The link is in the show notes. You've no excuse. And if we don't win, it is genuinely your fault because it is a public vote. We've done all we have come this far. You need to do the last stretch for us here. Okay. But thank you.
Not even Trump went that far to blame the voters, did he?
If I don't win, it's your fucking fault. You fucking idiot.
Not even Trump.
Oh dear, but Christopher Roger. I mean, I want to give him an honorary friend of the Ramble because that is just.
I think that's worthy.
I think that's absolutely stunning stuff. So well done, sir. Well done. Right, let's get back to some actual football news. Did you see that Coventry City recently parted ways with Mark Robins? He was sacked.
Yes.
Because he hadn't done enough for the club, presumably.
Yeah, it was a controversial one, wasn't it?
It
was very
was.
sad to see.
Well, Steve Agrusovic, come on. Coventry City legend. He said that this is just ridiculous. I don't know what Mark Robinson's got to do, and he came out in defence of him. And when you've got Oggy on your side, you know you're on the right side of history. I say that, I don't know what his personal views are on lots of things, but I just remember being a Premier League or a top flight legend because he was around that long.
Yeah,
and his shorts came down once, and we saw him in his pants.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, Coventry City owner Doug King has put himself in the I was going to say the firing line. He was the one doing the firing, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of people are unhappy about Mark Robins being sacked because he'd done so much for Coventry, who had been in the doldrums for so many years. Promotion, a whisker away from an FA Cup final.
I mean, that's. I still feel guilty about that now, but absolutely.
Why you went on to beat Man City? You're saving yourself for the final.
But
that justified the win for Eric Ten Hag.
I suppose it did, yeah.
If Man City had gone whipped in the final, if Man United had gone whipped by Man City in the final, it would just been...
Yeah.
Couldn't Coventry have done that?
Ten Hag's gone now as well, so you've got everything you could possibly have wanted from it.
I suppose, but that is important to say. They had a excellent season beyond really falling away at the back end of the
playoff final. Of course, they were again close to being in the Premier League under Mark Robins. So it's been quite the journey under Robins with Coventry City, but he's gone. Rightly or wrongly, he's gone. Now, Doug King did say that a lot of people have applied for the job, and he said Frank Lampard has as well. He said we've received a huge amount of CVs from high quality of people, of which Frank is one. Apparently, there's as many as 80 applicants for the job. So Frank Lampard in the running. I'm intrigued by Lampard, if I'm honest with you. He clearly wants to have a proper go at management.
Yeah,
he's still fairly young in his mid-40s. And I've looked at I was reminding myself of his managerial career to date. Obviously, Derby County, where playoff final did pretty well. People will say he was helped by having loan signings, which included Harry Wilson, Mason Mount, Fikayo Tomori, the obvious ones.
Sure, but that's, part...
You've got to manage a bit, but that will help.
He had the connections to bring those players in, and he used them. That's, fair enough.
Yeah, but...
you got to use what you got. But
I think the reason people put that as a reason why, he was as successful as he was at Derby was because that was how he got the job as well. Harry Redknapp puts in a a good word for him with Mel Morris, and that's how that happens.
Yeah, he will go right to the top. And nearly did, because they got to the playoff final. So you have that time at Derby. Then he goes to Chelsea. First season, they finish fourth, FA Cup finalists.
They had a transfer ban as well.
They had a transfer ban, so not dreadful. And it would appear... that Chelsea are quite a difficult club to manage, especially nowadays, although that was pre all that, of course. He then gets sacked from Chelsea, despite winning a Manager of the Month award. Only one of a few people to have won the Player of the Month and Manager of the Month.
Those two things didn't happen at the same time, did they?
Yeah.
Good news and bad news.
That'd have been quite.
What do you want first?
Player manager. And then obviously takes the job at Everton, and we know Everton's a bit difficult to manage, and he keeps them up, and then he gets sacked. So I don't think anyone would say, well, he's been really, really unlucky because he didn't particularly impress at Chelsea that much. There was some bits and pieces as well, okay. Didn't really impress at Everton despite keeping them up, but then he was sacked. They are two difficult clubs, but Chelsea more so since Todd Boehly and co have come in.
But then he had the experience of the Todd Boehly Chelsea because he was a caretaker.
Yes, he did, of course.
Potter went, and didn't do well in that period. Difficult anyway, but their form was
So I am one of these people who think that Lampard has more to give as a manager.
So I think we still don't know his level, right? And
but I sort of I think because you see it's Frank Lampard and he's a good pundit and he comes across as quite intelligent and obviously fine playing career for what that's worth at managerial level. I think there's something else. There's another level he can go. There's another gear.
He needs a bit of stability, doesn't he?
He needs the right club.
Yeah,
as you would say about the majority of managers, of course. So the fact that he's going for Coventry City, who obviously are a big club, but they are in the Championship, he's not just holding out for a Premier League job because he's applied for this one. And let's be honest, Lampard, if he didn't fancy this, could quite easily, I mean, he could go anywhere like MLS or Saudi Arabia more, make a huge amount of money. I've not tried that hard to do it, but by what's gone before him. Or he could be a Premier pundit and hoover up the work there. But he wants to be a manager.
Yeah.
A bit like Wayne Rooney, obviously different men. And so
no, it's very comparable, isn't it? He sort of, it's like he doesn't mind the level. Like he'd prefer as high as he can get, but he will, take the jobs that are on offer.
He really wants
getting his hands dirty.
Yeah, and you can see that. Obviously, as a player, a winner, a great grafter, and all that kind of stuff. A late bloomer. Could we see that? With that, is him as a manager? I mean, I know it's obviously a bit silly thing to say, but
well, no, I mean, like,
you get the intrigue though. With that
I mean, managers get better the longer they're in the job, or the longer they're in the profession. I suppose
Roy Keane didn't.
No, sure, but like, I mean, okay, one person skewer that, but generally, like, especially when you start at his age, or if you are at his age now, which is 46, that's still pretty young for a manager.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we've got fucking 30-year-olds running around the Premier League.
Yeah. No, but you're right. It's youngish. Yeah.
I suppose the difference is, like, he seems to take time out, before each job because he says he wants to survey stuff as well. I don't know how much work he's doing in that free time in terms of, like, getting up to speed or, like, learning new trends or whatever. But... I never really thought he was in a position to wait for the right club. That doesn't happen when you start in management. You don't just get, right, what's your profile here? It's not like being measured for a sou. It's you go in and you learn and you work and you try and get better at it in those situations. Otherwise, you're just getting spoon-fed everything, really.
I mean, some people do land on their feet and are given a big job, and it works. And he was given a big job at Chelsea. It just didn't quite happen.
He was given a big job at Derby. And this is a big job, given what we said about Coventry over the last couple of seasons. Even their squad now, in Haji Wright and Ellis Sims, they've got two players at the top end of the Championship there. So he'll have players at his disposal.
If he gets the job.
He'll have the structure there, and therefore he should be glad of it, really. I don't necessarily think he needs to look at the squad and be like, oh God, they've only got 3 6s in their squad, Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he needs to, I suppose, challenge himself a bit more, which he did at Everton, to be fair. But then, does he get the Everton job if he's not Frank Lampard?
Well, and if he gets another Premier League job, it's going to be for a team who are struggling, right? It's going to be a relegation battle.
Well, because Norwich, when Norwich were doomed for relegation, a few years ago when they were in the league, there was massive talk of Lampard, and I think he wisely sidestepped that one because I think that would have been a foolish move.
But even then, that's quite short term, Norwich are a big club who are consistently at the top end of the Championship.
Yes, indeed. But you've got to think
we're extrapolating a little bit here, but who gives a shit?
But you've got to think of your own profile though, because if he takes,
and then like essentially like the conversation about his ambition is moot, because I don't think you can worry about wearing a relegation where you take over mid to late season, whatever, for a club who are struggling like that and think, God, this is going to reflect really badly on me.
Yeah, but that works.
I'm putting words in his mouth there. He didn't say for whatever reason he didn't take the job, and he may well have only been given a certain deal or offered. He didn't take it, and I think that was probably a wise decision.
But that also works on the assumption that if he'd taken over at Norwich and they'd gone down, they'd have stuck with him in the job. He might well have been fired if he'd been relegated. You see it happen all the time.
The fact he didn't,
it's very risky.
Yeah, so I find this, as I say, intriguing about Lampard. I hope he gets a job soon, whether it's at Coventry or elsewhere. And I really want to see what he's got to offer as a manager. It may well be what we've already seen, but I suspect that there's something a bit more in there.
Well, I think to his credit, I think there are certain individual players who he has genuinely improved. I think Alex Iwobi was quite a big one. He was the one who moved him into the centre of midfield, and I suppose you're at Fulham are seeing the benefits of the player that he's become. There are a few other players as well, like. In that early stage at Chelsea, he was doing a lot on the shop floor because he had to work with what he had because he couldn't bring anyone in.
And promoting the young players through the academy.
Yeah, which he kind of had to. Like Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, they were ready. That kind of made sense.
Yeah.
He'd obviously had Mount at Derby the season before as well. So there is there was obviously a good, football brain there, without doubt. Like you can't have the career he had in the way that he had it.
Yes.
Without it, and I suppose it's whether he's able to channel that into management, because I think he can channel it into coaching.
Well, and also, I know this sounds a bit silly,
and he has,
but he can channel it into being a pundit and also talking to the media.
Yeah.
And so you think, well, his communication skills, presumably. Now, again, that doesn't mean to say that if the guy's a bit of a knob sometimes, I don't know, then people think, well, okay, you can do this, that, and the other. What is your emotional intelligence like? What's your interpersonal skills like? That doesn't mean to say that that's there. But it would suggest that there's something. And you look at him, as you say, Vish, you think about the CV, you think about where he's come from, you think about what we know of Lampard, and you think, that leads me to think there's something more to give. So we shall see if he gets the Coventry job. But as I say, I certainly hope that he'll be a manager soon. For reasons stated. In other managerially type news, Ruud van Nistelrooy has been let go by Manchester United. It was inevitable. It was inevitable. The news was announced almost at the same time that Ruben Amorim touched down in England. Manchester United's statement read, "Ruud is and always will be a Manchester United legend. We are grateful for his contribution and the way in which he has approached his role throughout his time with the club. He will always be very welcome at Old Trafford." I mean, it does... It seems slightly odd that he obviously Ten Hag was behind the decision that he would come. He was obviously going to help Ten Hag out in some way, but we all knew it was doomed, didn't we? I mean, maybe it was just one last roll of the dice. He's been there not very long, and then thanks very much, and you're off. I mean, he must have. I mean, he clearly has a feeling of I wanted a bit more. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised Amorim doesn't want to keep him around. No, I'm sure it's nothing personal, but he's got his own staff. He's got an idea in place, and there's absolutely no point adding a sort of unknown compromise into that. Van Nistelrooy also wants to be a number one at some point. Sure. So why would you have this other bloke who's not a part of his staff? Yeah, we'll keep him on, and it'll a sort of Macbeth situation. Well, if there was any job within Amorim's team, it would have been a demotion, wouldn't it? Yeah, he wouldn't have been assistant. Yeah. And he would have just gone into to be a kind of run-of-the-mill general coach. But the away game, when they go and play Leicester, get him on the bench. Definitely. He knows how to beat Leicester City specialist. If you play Leicester a lot, he is your man. He is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You sad to see him go, Vish, or do you just don't give a shite? No, I am sad to see him go, just on an emotional level, really. One of my favourite Manchester United players. It was... cool seeing him back. Looks fucking good in a long coat and a turtleneck. He looks better now than when he does. When he was in his 20s. Yeah, he was always quite sweaty when he was running around, and the shirts were a bit billowy then, so you couldn't really get the full figure of the man. Is that what it was? Yes. Yeah. Coming up after this, is it disrespectful to start a YouTuber up front in a top flight game in a proud country who are currently the world champions? Perhaps it is. See you in a moment. Yep, top flight Argentine club Deportivo Riestra made the headlines because they started a YouTuber up front in their recent clash against the league leaders Vélez Sarsfield at the weekend. I can remember when Vélez Sarsfield beat AC Milan in what was the sort of precursor to the Club World Cup. We were crowned like the best side in the world. They have been, and they would claim this, unofficially the best team in the world in our lifetimes, right? And these jokers put a YouTuber up front against them. Deportivo Riestra gave the YouTuber, who's called Spreen, that's his name, a professional contract and registered him with the Argentine FA in February. Now, Riestra are known for their sort of unconventional or creative marketing ploys, I suppose. Gimmicks, really. Gimmicks, yeah. They would argue they're not a huge club. They've got to get as much attention on them as possible. So I have sympathy there. But they are hugely disrespecting the sport. Of course they are. In a country which has got an unbelievable football history and pedigree. Of all the countries to try and even get away with this. Yeah. It's sensational. But the thing is, right, this kind of, I think, would make people think, oh, it wasn't that bad. But in another way, I think it almost makes it worse. So the deal was that Spreen, who's no professional football experience at all, and you can see that merely just by looking at the guy, not because he's like huge or anything, but you could just tell that he's not a player, right? As you would be if anybody, trying to turn out. Even in the footage of him, he looks like, oh, maybe this is a bad idea. Yeah. Well, he only played for 50 seconds. So the referee blows the the whistle, the kickoff, he plays 50. That someone makes a foul on the other side of the pitch. He doesn't touch the ball, and then he goes off, and he's all smiling and joking. You think, what the bloody hell was the point of that then? The local commentators weren't happy. They said he doesn't even know where to stand. It's unbelievable. This is shameful. It's a total disgrace.
Imagine if he had somehow got the ball or the ball was near him.
Oh my
And
goodness.
this, I don't know, like this Rodrigo de Paul or Javier Mascherano, type in the opposition was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, I part of me thought, are any YouTubers in Uruguay playing? Like, bang. Well, Juan Sebastian Veron, who's the president of Estudiantes, said on Instagram, a total lack of respect for football and footballers.
Yeah, Veron! He was like, I grew up doing this. What are you doing?
It's just madness. An Argentine newspaper said, how to disrespect the history and future of Argentine football in 1 minute.
I wonder. It's just. Has this gone well for Spreen in terms of his following? And
I don't think
has this got him whatever it is he wants out of it. It's a weird one.
Jim, I don't think he'll care, which will infuriate people even more. Like, what are they playing at? This is the thing. You can have all these creative marketing things that are around the pitch and a pre-game and post-game. I'll even give you half time. You don't disrespect the actual game.
No,
it's piss poor.
Yeah.
There's very little more to add on it.
I can't. So the thing I was trying to think about was, what you mentioned there in terms of what they get out of it. Having influencers and, I suppose, if we call them internet celebrities, because the whole point of this was that, like, no one really knew who he was, and he jumps in. So if you look at that section of celebrity, I suppose, all clubs do it one way or another. Like it was literally like a couple of months ago that Conor McGregor was kicking Bukayo Saka on the pitch at the Emirates. Yeah.
And there's also an audience for this thing. I think the Sidemen are doing their charity match at Wembley recently, soon, which is astonishing.
Well, they have
fair play. That's amazing.
Indeed, but that's a totally
sure
something different. This is a top flight proper game. It's not even pre-season.
This audience of people that want football content from not footballers is what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
And I think this is a massive leap from where it is at the moment. But I don't know that it's all that surprising that we've got here this quickly, where an influencer is playing in a competitive league match. Yeah. Bear in mind, like there are different strands to all this. Yeah. So even like Ben Foster having a camera in there and in his goal and vlogging, competitive games and stuff like that. I mean, this is too far. This is a disgrace.
Yeah.
But it was trending towards this.
Of course.
And it is trending towards this, even if you consider this like an anomaly.
If you were given a minute at Old Trafford for a league game, would you do it?
Every day of the week, yeah.
No chance.
Are you joking? Why wouldn't you do it?
Because maybe 20 years ago.
It'd be like an anxiety dream, wouldn't it?
Exactly. I just think...
Would you not just kick it straight away?
No, because I think... Because honestly, like, think about Craven Cottage, or where I go and watch my football and so on. I honestly think it's just such a disrespectful thing.
Oh, I see what... Sorry. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So...
No.
Manchester United.
Fuck no.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine the reaction.
Because I've never actually a genuine. I know.
Sorry, mate, I don't live in Manchester.
I genuinely I've never really properly. We all imagine what it's like. And so when this happened, I thought, yeah, but if you were offered, you can't turn. No, I would definitely turn that down.
I know. Okay, right. I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pre-season friendly and all that sort of Harry Redknapp and you think you're better, big boy, and all that. Yeah, fine. Give it because you're playing at a non-league stadium or something.
Here's one.
Go on.
What about a minute for England? Would you do it?
I would never turn my country down. I would. Your country come calling. So it's good to clarify that. Staying in South America, Diego Forlan plays in the Uruguay Open today.
Disrespecting tennis? Actually, that's fine.
Yeah, he's earned his stripes there, I think.
That's totally fine, yeah.
No, we don't mind that. No, because he's earned his stripes.
Yes, yeah.
It's
Cliff we don't like.
It's called the... Come on. Don't... It's part of the Luke Nation.
Don't say that.
Well, don't act like it.
I'd do a minute for the Luke Nation just to annoy them.
You're having to defend Cliff here. It's morally all over the place.
It is, Jim, it is. But back to the Uruguay Open. It is called the Uruguay Open. Right? It's not called the Argentine First Division Open, is it?
But the Open doesn't mean it's open to everyone, yeah?
Well, in theory,
it's not like an open house.
No,
could anyone ever go here? Or it's not paddle.
In theory, it is. but you've got to go through your qualifying rounds, right? And he presumably has done. And if he hasn't, then that's a disgrace.
Yes.
But he could have been a tennis player before he became a footballer. He's very, very talented. And didn't he go for football because he thought it would be more financially rewarding and he could help
his sister?
That's right.
Yeah.
With medical
costs.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So he plays doubles with his partner Federico Correa against doubles partners from Bolivia today. So it'd be great if he could do it. Paolo Maldini had a little tilt at...
Sylvain Wiltord as well was apparently a very good tennis player.
But did he have a go, though?
I believe... I know he was looking into it. That's all I remember from a scrap of an interview.
We've all looked into it before, haven't we?
Have you looked into becoming a professional tennis player?
Yeah, I'll do it again now. Yeah, probably not. There you go.
And Gabriel Batistuta
Not the same.
and Polo.
What an image.
Yeah, he looks
Batistuta on horseback.
He looks outstanding.
Of course he does. Of course he does. It's great. They do it right down there.
Grant Holt became a wrestler, didn't he, for a bit?
Well, a bit different.
That's our version of it.
That's the closest we can get. The arc could be thrown about for a bit.
Vinnie Jones became an actor.
Did he?
Did a bit of WWE, or was it F at the time? I can't remember. Anyway, you get the picture.
E by then,
Yeah, maybe. Oh dear. Well, I'll tell you what. The Latin countries know how to do it, and that's where we finish. Pitbull is coming to London on the 21st of February. I know he's American.
He shouldn't be in here.
But come on, 21st of Feb for his party.
Why are we plugging his tour?
Just let him do it.
It's Party After Dark tour. I'll be there. David Coote may be there as well. Find out what we really think of those who
fireballs.
Thanks for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network.
Plug on Pitbull's tour.
Patreon subscribers, don't go anywhere. Keep listening for Ramble Uncut. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, sign up to get Ramble Uncut every single Wednesday. Head over to patreon.com/Football Ramble. Do follow us on X, TikTok and Instagram at Football Ramble. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to vote for us for the FSAs. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, we've got that song. Thank you, Chris. There we are. Lots of love. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vish.
Cheers.
And thanks, Pitbull.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.